العاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له الملك الحق المبين وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله سيد والد آدم أجمعين صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه الطيبين الطاهرين وسلم التسليم كثيرا أما بعد. As we continue the next lesson, which is in Buloogh Al-Maraam, and this lesson, inshallah, sisters, I want everyone to be very focused in this lesson. This lesson is very interesting. Very, very interesting. And one has to be focused to attain the full benefit and also accurately understand these matters that we're going to address today. And they're very interesting, because I'm sure that, inshallah, once everyone reads some of these narrations and we extract the benefits from it, it will increase our iman to let us know how complete the religion is, how complete it is in every aspect, how the revelation that Allah sent down covered everything. So on this date of Sunday, September the 9th, 3:43 p.m., which agrees with in the Gregorian calendar, 2018, which on the Hijri calendar, where we still, with Ilahi al-Hamd, in Dhul Hijjah, this blessed month of Dhul Hijjah, where we wind down on these days, which is the 28th which is the only year of 1439 after the Hijrah of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. As we continue in this chapter of Kitab al-Nikah, the chapter of marriage, which is in Buloogh Al-Maraam, by the great illustrious Imam, scholar Ahmad ibn Ali ibn Hajar al-Asqalani rahimahullah, who died 852 after the Hijrah, where you'll find, ya ma'ash al-ikhwa, that he put in the chapter of marriage, these narrations and what we were discussing. As the affairs still connected with what they call Bab al-Kafa'ah wal-Khiyar, the chapter of adequacy and alternative. The chapter of adequacy and alternative. We discussed the matters in regards of certain conditions that we've been covering, where we talked about adequacy as far as religion between the spouses, that a person has to be kufu, meaning be adequate in certain matters in order for the marriage to either, in certain instances, to be valid, as we talked about. For example, we talked about the condition of adequacy in the affair in regards to the religion. Like one has to be adequate in those matters, such as the matters of religion. For example, a woman cannot marry a non-Muslim man, or a Muslim woman cannot marry a non-Muslim man because it's inadequacy in the affair of religion. So those matters are what? So you notice that it's in regards to the validity of the marriage. And then you have certain affairs like we talked about in the details would have preceded, what we mentioned about as far as the man. The man can marry a Muslim female and a non-Muslim woman if she's from the people of the book, with certain conditions, which we also mentioned generally. However, as I discussed, and I said that the position of the great Imam Al-Albani, that he said that it is not for the women of these days, meaning the women from the people of the book of these days. So a person wants to do more research, he can. But that's just my position, in which Imam Al-Albani had clearly discussed, and he brought a scholastic-based discussion in this regard, and he brought a lot of evidences and proofs which shows the correct position of what agrees with Kitab and Sunnah. So in actuality, we're not blind following, but we're listening to the evidence of what he presented, and it agrees with Kitab and Sunnah, and that's the reason why I took that position. We also talked about regards to adequacy as far as in liberation, meaning one had to be freed. We gave the story what happened with Barira and her husband Mughith, right everyone? We discussed that for the past couple of weeks, or the past couple of lessons, as far as adequacy in the aspect of hurriya, meaning being liberated or being freed. That a woman has the option, for example, what we talked about, discussed with the narration of Barira radiallahu anha wa ardaha, and likewise her husband, Mughith radiallahu anhu wa ardah, that we said there had to be adequacy in that affair. And if, for example, if a woman, Muslim woman, was freed and her husband was still a slave, that she had the choice to either what, remain with him, or she had the choice to what, to continue the marriage. So that agrees exactly what the chapter says. Adequacy and choice, or alternative. So the woman has the alternative to either continue the marriage, let's just say she was liberated, and her husband still was a slave, or in that state of being a slave. Then we said she can either continue the marriage, or she can annul the marriage and say, I don't want to be married, due to the fact of her level have been risen as far as her being free. We also spoke about a little bit, elaborated on adequacy between the two spouses and the aspect of nasab. And the aspect of nasab, meaning in lineage or family background. In family, lineage or family background. We also said that in that regard, likewise, it's not an actual prerequisite for the validity of a marriage. It's not a prerequisite at all, that a person has to come from a well-known family background of high status. That's not something that is a condition. Due to the fact that we know a lot of the ulama from the past were actual mawali, meaning either freed slaves or they were people that came from non-Arab backgrounds, and they married Arab women who were from the Arab. And some of them came from families where they were actually freed slaves. And they became prominent scholars of the religion. And Allah raised their status, where the people became relying upon them. And you'll find in the narrations that we clarified that this is not a condition. However, we talked about still, the woman or the man has a choice. For example, we know there's certain conditions and circumstances out there where a woman, for example, might marry a man and he's not from a certain family background or a certain tribe or what have you. And usually it might happen, it might cause fitna upon the woman. Because this does happen in these days. It does happen. Certain people are strong, certain people are weak. So a woman will say, now, for example, my mother and father disowned me because I married someone who's not from a well-known family or well-known lineage or well-known background or well-known tribe. So now my whole family disowned me. So she sees that this fitna has occurred, and some women, walillahi alhamd, has given them the courage to stand their ground. To say, that my family, may Allah guide them, I'm going to remain with my husband, who's a good person, religiously, and he's a good man. Khalas, I'm not going to now leave him due to the fact that all my family disowned me. And some women out there can't take it. They can't take the fact that their mother and father never wants to hardly speak to them or deal with them again. So what does she do? Some women can stay firm, and some women just get weak and say, I have feelings for you. I know you're a good person, but I cannot tolerate my mother and father not speaking to me or disowning me or what have you. So in this regard, she can ask for an annulment of the marriage. So she does have the choice. Due to the fact it's just how this world is, it's sad, but that's the reality. Some people can't take it. They say, I can't stand the fact that my brothers or my sisters or my mother or my father disown me, or they don't speak to me anymore. And so now that agrees, it's direct correlation to the title, which is she has the choice. But we've laid down the foundation that that's not a condition for the validity of the marriage. That a man or woman has to be from a well-known lineage or have a well-known lineage or a well-known background or family or tribe or what have you. It's not a prerequisite. It's not. Also, likewise, we'll discuss as far as the fourth, what we said, in regards to hirfa. Hirfa meaning a profession. Does there have to be adequacy in the aspect of a profession or occupation or work? Meaning, for example, the woman has a good job and she marries a man that might have a low income or some type of profession that's considered lowly, for example. People will say, well, what do you mean by lowly? We'll discuss that, inshallah, where during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, there were certain Sahaba who had professions such as hijama, meaning of what they call hijama, meaning cupping. And during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, that profession was considered a little bit lowly due to the fact that it was a form of remedy, and it was also a form of a cure for people who had certain ailments and sicknesses, and which is still utilized today, walillahi alhamd. And it is the best form of remedy, which is called cupping, hijama. You'll notice in the narration in your book, and we'll discuss this when we have the time, we'll go back to it. If you look in your books, everyone, it says that the Arab that they're adequate for one another, and likewise the Mawali are adequate for one another. He says, except a ha'ik or a hijjam. A ha'ik or a hijjam. Except the one who has an occupation of cupping. So, they utilize this hadith, and we said that this particular narration is weak. We said these narrations are weak, and this narration is weak here in this book, due to there's so many authentic narrations that oppose this one here. Where we see that the Prophet ﷺ, and we'll talk about inshallah, that there was a man who had an occupation similar to this. Rather, it was like this. He was a hijab. You'll find, and we'll discuss this in momentarily, not probably today, but next week. The man who's from Bani Bayada, and his name was Abu Hind. And he had a profession of being hijama, or he was a hijjam. He was the one that performed cupping on people. And the Prophet ﷺ commanded that the people, that they marry their people, marry him off, and they let him be in their families. So, adequacy as far as occupation clearly shows in this narration that that's not what a condition. So some of these conditions, like we said, some of them are agreed upon, some of them are by ijma', and some of them are not, which we'll discuss inshallah. طيب. Let's now go to the hadith of today of Al-Dhahhak. The next narration after Mughith al-Barira. We finished the hadith of Barira, right everyone? Al-Barira and Mughith. Finish. I'll go back to that next week, the narration of Abu Bayada. طيب. The next narration is on the authority of Dhahhak. Dhahhak ibn Fayruz. Ibn Fayruz al-Daylami. Al-Dhahhak ibn Fayruz al-Daylami. This narration, it says, عن أبيه فيروز قال قلت يا رسول الله إني أسلمت وتحتي أختان فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم طلق أيتهما شئت رواه أحمد والأربعة إلا النسائي وصححه ابن حبان والدارقطني والبيهقي وأعله البخاري. ولثاية الضحاك ibn Fayruz. This narration is tremendous, and I want everyone to be attentive of all the narrations we're going to read. I had to go back. On the authority of Dhahhak ibn Fayruz al-Daylami, upon his father, Fayruz, he said, O Messenger of Allah, verily I become Muslim, and I have under me 2 sisters, meaning I'm married to 2 sisters. He said, so the Messenger of Allah said, divorce one of them, or which one of the 2 of which you want, or what you like. Divorce one of the 2 of what you want. Rawahu Ahmad. Wal arba'a illa nasa'i. To the end of it. It said Al-Bukhari said it had a illa, had a hidden weakness in it. We'll discuss that. طيب. The next narration, brothers and sisters, let's read all of them, because all of them are kind of connected. On the authority of Salim, upon his father. We'll discuss that his father was Abdullah ibn Umar. Abdullah ibn Umar had a son named Salim. Upon his father, meaning Abdullah ibn Umar, that Ghaylan ibn Salama, that he was married to 10 women, meaning before he was Muslim. He was married to 10 women. And he said, and they all became Muslim along with him. So the Prophet ﷺ had commanded him to choose from amongst them 4 and divorce the rest. Keep 4 and divorce the rest. رواه أحمد والترمذي وصححه ابن حبان والحاكم وأعله البخاري وأبو زرعة يعني الرازي وكذلك أبو حاتم الرازي. He says that he gave him the choice to keep 4. This has been related in the Imam Ahmad in his Musnad, the Tirmidhi, and his Jami'. And also who authenticated was Ibn Hibban and Al-Hakim, and the Imam Al-Bukhari, and the great Imam Abu Zur'a, Abu Hatim Ar-Raziyan said that it had a hidden weakness in it likewise. طيب, the next narration, on the authority of Ibn Abbas. Now listen to this. I want everyone, probably some people will say, man, we have to discuss this narration. It says, قال رد النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ابنته زينب على أبي العاص ابن الربيع بعد 6 سنين بالنكاح الأول ولم يحدث نكاحا رواه أحمد والأربعة إلا النسائي وصححه أحمد والحاكم إسناد صحيح. On the authority Ibn Abbas, it says that the Prophet ﷺ returned his daughter Zainab to Abil As ibn al-Rabi' after 6 years due to the first marriage. Meaning that when they first got married, he was utilizing the contract that was done 6 years ago after they became separated. And the Prophet ﷺ did not renew the contract. Meaning he didn't bring forth a nikah, even though they were separated for 6 years. What does that mean? And this isnad is sahih. Isnad is authentic. طيب. The next narration, which is a famous isnad. Everyone, if he was studying the science of hadith, this chain, عن عمرو بن شعيب عن أبيه عن جده, is a famous isnad. عن عمرو بن شعيب عن أبيه عن جده. عن عمرو الشعيب عن أبيه عن جده. Used to hear this isnad constantly when we was in the Kuliyat al-Hadith. We was discussing these chains. Similar to that is likewise in this book. On the authority of Amr ibn Shu'ayb upon his father, then upon his grandfather. عن عمرو الشعيب عن أبيه عن جده. That the Prophet ﷺ, now this narration seems like it not contradicts, but it goes against the first we just mentioned. Listen to this. That the Prophet ﷺ returned his daughter Zainab to Abu al-As with a new marriage contract. Now listen what Tirmidhi said. He said the hadith of Ibn Abbas is better in its chain. He says, however, what is implemented and what we practice is this narration of Amr ibn Shu'ayb. We'll get into that inshallah. طيب, the next narration, everyone read the next one. When the authority Ibn Abbas قال أسلمت امرأة فتزوجت فجاء زوجها فقال يا رسول الله إني كنت أسلمت وعلمت بإسلامي فانتزعها رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من زوجها الآخر وردها إلى زوجها الأول. رواه أحمد وأبو داود السجستاني وابن ماجه وصححه ابن حبان والحاكم. On the authority of Ibn Abbas likewise, it says that a woman became Muslim and she married again. She married someone else. So her husband, or her former husband, came. He said, O Messenger of Allah, verily I have become Muslim. And she knew about my Islam. She knew about my Islam. So the Messenger of Allah ﷺ nullified the marriage from the what? From the current husband and returned her back to the former one. To the former husband. To the first. To the first husband. So رواه أحمد وأبو داود وابن ماجه وصححه ابن حبان والحاكم. طيب. That's it so far. Now let's go back. Now go back now to the narration of Dhahhak ibn Fayruz al-Daylami. So the first one we started off with in the class was what, everyone? When the Messenger of Allah said, that he said to the Messenger of Allah, he said to the Messenger of Allah, I become Muslim and I have, meaning I'm married to 2 sisters. I'm married to what? To 2 sisters. Right. This narration, first of all, who's Dhahhak? Dhahhak was a tabi'i. He was a tabi'i, meaning he came after the Sahaba. So Dhahhak was a tabi'i. His father Fayruz was a Sahabi. He was a Sahabi. And he was from a famous tribe of Persia. A famous tribe of Persia. which was called Daylam, a Daylam, a Daylam. So to let you know that Dhahak, even though he was a Sahabi, he was not from the Arab. He was not from the Arabs. He was Persian. And his father was Persian. His father was from a tribe of Persia, which was called Daylam. So you see that a tribe of Daylami, that was a Persian tribe from Persia. So Dhahak was a Tabi'i, and his father was a Sahabi, Fayruz. There's something special about the father, Fayruz al-Daylami. What was so special about him? We know at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, towards the end, when he was about to die, alayhi salatu wasalam, there were a lot of people starting to claim prophethood. There was a lot of people starting to claim prophethood. And a lot of people started believing these people who claimed prophethood. And we know that was one of the great fitna that took place after the Messenger of Allah had died, where a lot of people either started to now twist the meaning of who was supposed to pay zakat, or paying zakat, excuse me. For the people who were supposed to pay zakat to the poor, they started to now use different types of warped understandings in order not to pay it. And there was a lot of people now claiming prophethood after the Prophet ﷺ, during his life, towards the end, and after he died, alayhi salatu wasalam. From those people who claimed prophethood, his name was Aswad al-Ansi. Aswad al-Ansi in Yemen. So Aswad al-Ansi claimed prophethood, and he had a shaitan with him. If you look in the story of Bidayah wa Nihaya by Ibn Kathir, he even mentioned about certain things, weird, strange things, that Aswad al-Ansi had knowledge of. Meaning he had knowledge of certain things that were going on in certain particular areas and certain things, or certain conversations. They was all to show that he had a shaitan with him. That the shaitan used to go out and used to listen, and he would bring the news back to Aswad al-Ansi. So they thought, based upon this type of quality he possessed, they thought he was a Nabi. They thought he was but however, he was a mutanabbi. He wasn't a Nabi, he was a mutanabbi. He was a fake prophet. Aswad al-Ansi, just to summarize the story, Aswad al-Ansi, while he was asleep, what happened was there was a woman he was married to, that she did not want to be married to him, but he forced her to marry him, Aswad al-Ansi. Aswad al-Ansi killed her husband, and then he took her and married her after he killed him. So this woman had what? Aided this Sahabi here in this book. They all came together in order to what? Kill this enemy of Allah who was what? Aswad al-Ansi. As she came, and this person who carried out to kill Aswad al-Ansi was this person, this Sahabi, Fayruz al-Daylami. Until when a point where it said, when Fayruz al-Daylami had killed Aswad al-Ansi, they said there was a moan that was scary, to the point to show that Aswad al-Ansi had a shaitan in him. He had a jinn or a shaitan with him. But the one who killed Aswad al-Ansi was what? Was Dhahak al-Daylami. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. Fayruz al-Daylami, the father. Fayruz al-Daylami was the one who killed Aswad al-Ansi. طيب. Dhahak had related upon his father, Fayruz. Keep in mind, like we said, that he was from Persia. He was Persian. He wasn't from the Arab. He was Persian. He said, Qala, they said, O Messenger of Allah, he says, I have become Muslim. And I am responsible, meaning I'm married to 2 sisters. So the Messenger of Allah said, divorce one of the 2. One of the 2, whom you will. Divorce one of the 2 or whom you will. For number 1, from this narration, for the sisters who listen and brothers, number 1 is that we extract from this narration that the Persians, that they used to allow the marriage of what they call nikah al-maharim, marrying people who are in their families, meaning that one could marry his mother, He could marry his daughter, or he could marry his sisters, and he could marry whoever. That was a Persian practice. Meaning before Islam, of course. And in certain instances in these days, especially with the rawafid of what takes place in Iran. Because a lot of them, from their background, they was from Persia too. Because that's where the Persian, a lot of them, that was their dwelling place in that particular area, which is Iran today. But at any rate, and they still to this day practice this something nasty too. But at any rate, in regards to what happened with him, the Persians, from their ideologies or their ways or their traditions, they used to marry people in their families. They used to marry their mothers. They used to marry the man, or a son would marry the mom or whatever, or the mom or the father would marry the daughter, or they would marry their sisters or whoever. They would marry each other. And we know in Islam that this is what? Impermissible. So notice that the Prophet ﷺ, I want everyone to be careful, be attentive to what I'm about to say here. Based upon this narration here, you would think that the message of Allah ﷺ would say, divorce her, one of the two sisters, and renew your contract with the other. Due to the fact that that was a polytheistic, jahili, pre-Islamic marriage that was under something incorrect. But notice that the message of Allah in this narration, everyone, only sufficed with what? Just correcting the marriage, not telling the man to renew the marriage contract. Does everyone notice that? I'll say it again. The message of Allah in this narration did not command this Sahabi to renew his marriage contract. He only told him to what? Divorce one of the two of whom he will. To let you know that the marriage that was done previously before Islam was what? Was recognized. Even though it was a what? A polytheistic type of marriage. Does everyone understand what I'm saying so far? Is it clear, or do I need to say it again? Say it again. Play it. No problem. The same example is going to come up in the other narrations that's coming up. It's going to come up again because all of them are connected. Play it. The message of Allah said to this man, to Sahabi, the great Sahabi, Fayruz al-Daylami. He says, O message of Allah, I'm married to two women. He says, under me is two women. Two sisters. Meaning I'm married to two sisters. Meaning it's not out of fornication. It's under a marriage contract. But however, this marriage contract was a marriage contract before Islam. And it was upon polytheism. It was a polytheistic type of what? Practice. Or contract, marriage contract. So the message of Allah, keep in mind, he said to him, divorce one of the two. What did the message of Allah, what did he not say? He did not say, renew your marriage contract. He didn't say that. He just sufficed by what? Correcting what was correct as far as in Islam. But not telling him to renew the marriage contract. Is it clear what I'm saying so far? Is it clear now? The Prophet ﷺ did say, Ana amuruka ya Fayruz and tujaddid al-nikah. I command you, Fayruz, renew the marriage contract. He didn't say that. He just corrected what was what? What was considered correct in Islam. And he recognized what was the marriage contract, what was done before Islam, to sum up everything up. So now you'll find, this is what we mentioned in here, and also what's going to come, inshallah. So based upon this narration, the Prophet ﷺ had told one of them what? The Sahabi Fayruz, divorce one of the two of whom you will, of whom you want. Which is to let one know that we talked about this, and we taught the sisters this about a couple of months ago, maybe 3 months ago, that it's impermissible that a man marry what? That he have married at the same time that he marries what? 2 sisters. Didn't we mention that? We mentioned that a man cannot marry 2 sisters at the same time. He cannot. Is that a marriage that's upon abad, meaning forever, or is that only something temporary? What did we say? It's only temporary. Temporary based upon the fact, let's just say that if, just for example, that one of the sisters died, or the brother was married to one of the sisters and his wife died. Is it now permissible for him to marry her sister, meaning of the latter, or the wife the wife that passed away? Now we say yes, he can marry her sister. So that type of tahrim of it being unlawful is only temporary, for a specific time. But what is impermissible is that he marry both of them at the same time and they be under his care. That's unlawful. A man cannot marry two sisters. He cannot marry them. So once the hukum, or once a person became Muslim, then we know that all the ahkam of Islam started to now be binded upon the individual. So the Prophet ﷺ taught him that you cannot be married to two sisters at the same time. Even though it's as if he's saying, okay, we recognize the marriage, but you being married to two sisters at the same time is unlawful. Meaning it's displeasing to Allah, this type of marriage. So divorce one of the two of whom you will, and keep one. Like we just said, the Messenger of Allah ﷺ did not say it's incumbent upon you to what? He didn't say in either case. He didn't say marry or renew the contract, divorce that one, or leave that one and renew your contract with the other one. He didn't say that. All he just did was tasheeh. So the Messenger of Allah ﷺ here, he did what they call tasheeh, correcting the marriage. But he didn't do tajdeed, meaning renewal of the contract. He did tasheeh, he just corrected the marriage. But he didn't make what they call tajdeed, renewal of the marriage. So that when the Messenger of Allah ﷺ has said, we can get into this one now. What will be obligatory? Now, if a person was married to two sisters, that they would have to be what? They would have to be separated. The man, she cannot stay with the man. One of the sisters cannot stay with him. Hence, that if he did this, then he would be falling to something that is what? Unlawful. So that's what we wanted to establish, number one. There's something else we want to talk about today. طيب. Flip the page, everyone. Go to the next hadith. Some people might be on the same page. The next hadith, it says, on the authority of Salim. On the authority of Salim. That the Prophet ﷺ has said, upon his father, Abdullah ibn Umar. So Salim, his father was Abdullah ibn Umar. And we know Abdullah ibn Umar was the son of who, everyone? Umar ibn Khattab. He said that on the authority of Abdullah ibn Umar, that Ghaylan ibn Salama, he became Muslim. And he was married to 10 women. He was married to 10 women. Well, he married 10 women, excuse me. He married 10 women. And all of them became Muslim along with him. And the Prophet ﷺ said, choose from them or keep 4 and divorce the rest. Keep 4 and divorce the rest. Another thing, keep in mind, what do we extract from this, brothers and sisters, now? You extract the same thing we extracted from the previous narration. Notice that the Prophet ﷺ had acknowledged his marriage from before Islam. He acknowledged it. Again, in this narration you see in front of you, did the Messenger of Allah say, Salim, you have to renew your marriage contract with all of them? Did he say that? Did he say that, everyone? No, he didn't. Same exact thing. Meaning all he told him is just to divorce 6, keep 4. Meaning the Prophet ﷺ, again, he did what they call tasheeh, not tajdeed. He corrected the marriage, but he did not what? He did not renew the contract. So this you'll find from these narrations that we're gathering up, brothers and sisters, right now, is that Islam recognizes the marriages from before in Jahiliyyah or before Islam. Which I'm going to give examples of. Let's just say, for example, 2 couples became Christian. They were married in Christianity before they both became Muslim. Let's just say now, both of them became Muslim in this example. I know sisters going to say, well, what if she became Muslim, he became Kafir? That's in the next narration. That's in the next one if you read it. That's going to come. But just giving an example, let's just say they were both married in Christianity or Judaism or even a paganistic type of marriage. They both were married. Some type of marriage. They both became Muslim. Now we say, do we say to them that they have to renew their marriage contract because they were both what? Christian or Jew or whatever? Based upon these narrations, the answer is what, everyone? No. No, you don't. Because the Prophet ﷺ did not command them to what? You have to get remarried again. You were both Christian. You had to get married again. You were both Jews. No. The Prophet ﷺ only took in consideration of what opposed the ahkam of Islam. That's it. So he corrected, but he did not nullify. And that's what was done here in this narration likewise. So the hadith of Ghaylan ibn Salama, that he said that he was married to 10 women. And they all became Muslim. And he said, choose from them 4. Choose from them 4. Some of the, some of the sisters probably not going to like this one. Some of them don't mind, and some of them be like, But at any rate, from the benefits extracted from this narration, you'll find the Ahl Ilm that said that it is more virtuous. I'm sure some of the brothers will smile from this one, right? That from the benefits extracted from the hadith of Ghaylan, as you'll find that some of Ahl Ilm, some of them, say that that it is more virtuous that a man have more than one wife based upon this narration. That's more virtuous. Why? Because they said if the message of Allah, if it would have been more virtuous that a man have married to one woman, the Prophet ﷺ would have said what? He would have said, divorce all of them and keep one. If that was more virtuous. But the message of Allah started off with what? 4. He said, divorce 6, keep 4. To let one know that what? They say that based upon these type of narrations, and from them was the great Al-Allama Shaykh Ubayd Al-Jabiri, Hafidhullah wa Ra'ah. He said to let one know that it's more virtuous that a man have more than one wife. Due to the fact of this narration. You know, some of the brothers is like, No, some of the sisters like that, and the brothers are like, yes, right? Yes. No. All the sisters quiet and upset now. AbdurRazzaaq, we loved you up to this point, right? طيب. So at any rate, you'll find that that's from the benefits that extracted from this narration. So it's to let one know that what is legislated, number one, based upon this narration, is that what everyone, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had legislated that it is in Islam that a man can have more than one wife. And this was something that was known. And it was established in the time of history, all the way from the non-Muslims to the pagans to the Muslims. It was something that was recognized and it was known and it was established. This wasn't a practice that was deemed to be something strange until now. But women knew back then that this was something that was acceptable in society. It was the norm. No one found it strange. Now the affair is switched. This is deemed to be strange, but homosexuality and fornication and having a boyfriend and girlfriend, that's the norm. That's recognized. That's acceptable in society. Not realizing that that's the problem of what's deteriorating the society. That's what's destroying it, the family structure, because of the fornication, the zina, the immoral practices of the people. It's destroying the families. But however, when you're marrying these women, you're building families. You're building families. You're building structure. You build in harmony. So you'll find, like we said, in regards to what was mentioned as extracted here, you'll find that even the great Imam, I'm going to mention this right quickly, even the great Sheikh Salih Fawzan, he even mentioned this regard. He says in the time of Jahiliyyah, he said that they didn't have any restriction of number as far as multiple wives. They had no restriction. To the point where you'll find he said that Ghaylan had 10 before he was Muslim. He had 10. He said because, he said, during the time of pre-Islamic ignorance, he said women were humiliated. Women were oppressed. He says, and their rights was being transgressed against. They were oppressed. They were looked at as just a mere commodity. They were utilized, and just how they've been utilized now, they just looked at it as just mere sexual objects, and that's basically it. Sexual objects that's taken advantage of. They're no one special. That's what they utilize, that's what they're good for. No more, no less. They were taken advantage of until the point before Jahiliyyah, until the point where a person, there was no restricted number of who you can marry as far as women. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala came with the truth, He restricted the number to what? To 4. Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in His book, فَانْكِحُوا مَا طَابَ لَكُم مِّنَ النِّسَاءِ مَثْنَى وَثُلَاثَ وَرُبَاعَ. Marry what is pleasing to you of women. And Allah started with 2, 3, and then ended it with 4. And if you fear that you will not be just, He said, then just 1. He says, so then the great Imam, he goes on to say, فَقَصَرَ الْمُسْلِمْ الْحُرُّ عَلَى أَرْبَعٍ. So it's restricted to a Muslim that's liberated to 4. And the one who's a slave to just 2. Because a slave is upon the half of one liberated, of the Muslims. He says, when Ghaylan al-Thaqafi, when he became Muslim, he had 10. So the Messenger of Allah ﷺ had get what? Said, choose from them 4 and leave off the rest. So this what? This is exactly what goes with the ayah. A person will say now, and this is of some of the great types of ambiguities that the people, especially from the Orientalists, that they try to say. They say, what about the Messenger of Allah ﷺ? Didn't he have multiple wives, all the way up to how many? For Jama' and Nabi ﷺ, he had more than 4. And when he died upon leaving 9. So how come the Messenger of Allah ﷺ can have 9 and just the average man can only have 4? And you'll find that from the Orientalists, that they try to utilize to say that the Messenger of Allah was a man of desires and that he liked multiple women. This is from their ambiguities and their doubtful matters that they use. How do we refute this? How do we refute? Because we have to. Because these are from the calls of shaitan that shaitan utilizes to put this doubt in the heart of an individual to lead him astray. So what does he do? Number 1. We say number 1, of course, this is from the affairs or the specific characteristics of the Prophet ﷺ, of what he was given only. And it was not permissible for anyone else. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala particularizes on whom He wills of His servants. And the message of Allah, it was made, it was allowed for him of having more than 4. Now listen to what the great Imam, as he gave a great refutation and rebuttal to this. The great Imam, Shaykh Uthaymeen, he says that the message of Allah he was given this privilege. He says, La min ajli tarab wa shahwa. Listen to this, everyone. He was not given this privilege just for mere playing around and satisfying his desires. He wasn't given this privilege because of that. Listen to this. He says, وَلَكِن مِنْ أَجْلِ الْمَصَالِحِ الْعَظِيمَةِ الَّتِي تَتَرَتَّبُ عَلَى زِيَادَةِ النِّسَاءِ. He said, however, he was given this, he said, due to the numerous benefits, of tremendous benefits, which will come as a result of multiple women, of what we can gather, of how he interacted with different women, of different backgrounds, different cultures, different personalities, and knowing how to deal with each one properly. So it could be a lesson to teach us men of how to do similar to that. So listen what he goes on to say. He says, وَيَدُلُّ عَلَى هَذَا أَنَّهُ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ لَمْ يَتَزَوَّجْ بِكْرًا قَطْ. Listen to this. He said, well, the indication and evidence for this is that the Messenger of Allah only married one virgin. One. That was it. And we know during the time of the Messenger of Allah, what was preferable was what, everyone? Virgins. That's what men were looking for. That was what was preferable. And the Messenger of Allah said it himself. When he said, listen, he never married a virgin except Aisha. He says, كُلَّ اللَّائِ تَزَوَّجَهُنْ ثَيِّبَاتْ إِلَّا عَائِشَةً. The Messenger of Allah all married women who were all previously married from before. Meaning either their husbands had died or they were divorced or what have you. The only bikr or virgin he married was Aisha. He says, well, which is an indication that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, when he married these women, the intent or the goal behind it was not to satisfy his desires. He says, why? Because it was known and established during the time of the Arab that virgins was something more preferable and more excellent and more superior during that time. And the Messenger of Allah knew that. To the point where he even said to the great Sahabi, Jabir ibn Abdullah, he said to him, هَلْ لَا تَزَوَّجْتَ بِكْرًا? Well, he asked Jabir ibn Abdullah, the great Sahabi, when he married. He said, did you get married, Jabir? He says, yes. He says, did you get married to a virgin or a woman that was previously married? He says, I married a woman that was previously married, meaning she was in a marriage before. So listen to what the Prophet ﷺ said. He says, فَهَلْ لَا تَزَوَّجْتَ بِكْرًا تُلَاعِبُكَ وَتُضَاحِكُكَ وَتُضَاحِكُهَا. He says, you should have married a virgin. He says she could play with you, you could play with her, or she can make you laugh, or you can make her laugh. So the Messenger of Allah knew what was preferable at his time was what? Was women who were virgins. That was known during his time. And if he was a man that wanted to satisfy his desires, that's all he would have looked for. And he had the ability to do that. He had the choice. I'm just going to marry all virgins because that was more preferable. And that was more desirable. But despite of that, he did not do that. فَقَالَ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. So then Jabir had clarified the reason of why he married this particular woman who wasn't a virgin. Listen to what he said, Jabir, in this particular narration. He says, يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ إِنَّ لِي أَخَوَاتٍ يَحْتَجْنَا إِلَى رِعَايَةٍ فَاخْتَرْتُ الثَّيِّبِ. He said, for verily, O Messenger of Allah, the reason why I married a woman who was married from before, he says, because I have sisters. I have sisters that I look over and I take care of. And he says, and they need to be looked after and be taken care of. So I chose a woman who knew how to what? To take care of them. I chose a woman who had basically knew and can accommodate Jabir in this regard and service him, to aid him in taking care of his sisters. So this is all to show everyone is that what? An indication that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, he had knowledge and he was fully aware that a woman that was a virgin was more preferable than a thayyib, than a woman who was married before. And despite of that, the Messenger of Allah ﷺ did not marry, or the majority of the women he was married to was all what? Thayyibat. They were all women that were what? Previously married or in a marriage before him, alayhi salatu wasalam. And the only virgin he was married to was Aisha. That's it. And which was a clear evidence and proof is that he married these women in order to attain a lot of those benefits that we would benefit from. What will come as a result of being married to multiple women. It says, and this is apparent and clear for the one who contemplates upon it. Is it clear, everyone? Is it clear, everyone? Gee. Reason why we mention that is because, like we said, these are from the calls of shaitan that he utilizes to put doubt in a person about Islam. They call to these type of ambiguities and utilize it. So one can what? Go astray or have some doubt. And all of this is what? Like we talked about, all of them are from the blows and the calls of shaitan. And the only way that you can combat these type of calls or these ambiguities is by attaining ilm and reading. Once you attain the ilm, you can combat any type of call shaitan, especially from the enemies of Islam who try to look for the so-called ambiguities or look for the doubts or look for the contradictions to try to throw them in the face of the Muslims in order to now either try to make Islam look bad or try to cause some doubt or cast some doubt in the hearts of the people or hearts of the Muslims. طيب. So now let's go on to the next. Oh, what time? No. So now we go on to the next narration. Read this, sister. Now everyone read this. I want everyone to contemplate on this one. The next narration is on the authority of Ibn Abbas, that the Prophet ﷺ, that he returned his daughter Zainab to Abu al-As ibn Rabi' after 6 years, based upon the first contract. Based upon the first contract, when it means here the first contract, meaning the first contract before they were Muslim. 6 years. And the Prophet ﷺ did not come or bring or renew a new contract. We got to explain this. Then the next narration, Amr ibn Shu'ayb, an abihi an jaddi. That the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says here that he did return his daughter back to Abu al-As with a new contract. With a new contract. So I want everyone to focus, because this is going to have some information and there's going to be a lot of brain work in this particular narration. A lot of brain work. I don't want anyone to get any information mixed up. طيب. On the authority of Ibn Abbas, so now we start off by this narration that the Prophet ﷺ returned his own daughter back to Zaynab, to Abu al-As, the Sahabi. طيب, just to start everything off, let's get straight into it. Just to start everything off, we know that it's impermissible for a woman to marry a non-Muslim man. That's clear, right, everyone? As we know that it says in Surah Al-Mumtahina, ayat number 10, it's clear. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in his book, فَلَا تَرْجِعُوهُنْ إِلَى الْكُفَّارِ هُنَّ, yes, Allah ta'ala says, هُنَّ حِلُّ لَهُمْ عفوا لَا هُنَّ حِلُّ لَهُمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحِلُّونَ لَهُنْ. Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, do not return them, meaning believing women, back to the non-Muslim men. They are not lawful for them, and they are not lawful for them, meaning the Muslim women, or the believing women. So this is to show, to start off, that we know that if a woman now, let's just say she was married before she was Muslim, to another man she was married to, and he isn't Muslim. So we extract from this narration here to start off, that number one, this is a clear narration to show that if a woman becomes Muslim, everyone, then the marriage automatically becomes what? If a woman becomes Muslim and she was married to a non-Muslim, automatically the marriage what? It's invalid. The marriage becomes invalid. The question is now, I want everyone to focus. The question here is now, is there iddah or not? That's number one, before we get into the good stuff. Is there iddah or not? Is all the sisters clear knowing what an iddah is, inshallah? Right, everyone? All the sisters, inshallah, know what an iddah is. It's a waiting period for the woman when she's divorced, or when a marriage becomes invalid. Some probably people say, what's the difference? It is a difference. Let's just say now, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect all of us and protect you. Let's just say now a man apostated. Or a woman, even with a woman, let's just say a Muslim man is married to a Muslim woman. One of the two apostated. They changed their religion back to Christianity or whatever. طيب. Let's just say now the man he remained Muslim, and the sister became, or she left Islam. Does he have to pronounce divorce to her? No, he doesn't. The iddah started already. That's if they believe in the iddah. If she believes in the iddah now. The marriage already annulled automatically. The man doesn't even have to pronounce divorce. A person now will come and say to me, AbdurRazzaaq, isn't it permissible for a man to marry a woman of the book? No. The ahkam of ridda, the ahkam and the rulings as far as apostation is different from the ahkam of a man being married to the woman of a book. It's different. Is it clear what I'm saying so far? The ahkam or the rulings in regards to a woman or a man apostating is different from the ahkam or the rulings in regards to a man being married to a woman of the book. This woman apostated. So apostation now necessitates annulment of the marriage automatically without the man announcing divorce. Automatically. Because it's an apostation. That's number one. Now let's switch it. Let's just say now a woman becomes Muslim, because that's what's relative to this in this narration here. Because we want to stick to what's in the books, because I don't want to confuse everyone too much. Use too much brain work. طيب. That's in regards to the woman. The woman becomes Muslim, and let's just say he remained upon Christianity. Does she have to ask him for a divorce? Based upon what we're saying now, does she have to ask him for a divorce? And he has to say, yes, I divorce you. Huh? No. So now the iddah started. Why are you sitting there? You could be sitting here. Are you trying to stop it alone? We sit behind the wall. Sitting behind the wall. Tayyib, you can sit. I'm not going to say nothing. Tayyib. He sit right behind, next to me, behind the wall. Tayyib. So now the woman, let's just say, does she now have to? Does she have an iddah? Does a woman have an iddah now that her husband said, I don't want to be Muslim. I want to stay upon what I'm upon. The woman says, I want to be Muslim now. Khalas, I want to be Muslim. Tayyib, we know certain things have now taken place. Number one is the marriage is automatically invalid. Tayyib, number two, there's an iddah. There is an iddah if he was alone with her and he was intimate with her. Meaning before she became Muslim. Maybe let's just say, for example, she became Muslim today. Somebody calling you there? I heard somebody. Oh, somebody calling there? Oh, Amir's calling you there? Somebody calling you there? I could have swear I heard it. I think somebody is called, or they called it. Someone in the office? I think they did call you that. Just to make sure, Allahumma rabba hadhihi ad-da'wati at-tamma was-salati al-qa'ima ati Muhammad al-wasila al-fadila wa-ba'ath al-maqam mahmud al-wa'ata. I could have sworn I heard someone calling it too. I think he went looking for you. I think he thought he heard you. Tayyib. In regards to now, the woman becomes Muslim. And I want everyone to write this down if they can, but understand me first. Understand this point. She becomes Muslim. He says, no, I want to stay Christian, or what have you. Tayyib. For now, the woman has become Muslim. Does she have an iddah or not? Let's just say she became Muslim today. Maybe, we're just talking reality, what takes place. Let's just say 3 days they were intimate because they both were Christian. Right or wrong, everyone? That can happen. He's calling it now? That's throwing me off. No, don't worry about it. He said he already called it. Tayyib. He said let's just say they were intimate 3 days ago, 2 days ago, or yesterday, for that matter. Tayyib. Tomorrow she wakes up, I don't want to be Christian no more, I want to be Muslim. He says, okay, I want to still remain Christian. This now necessitates, like we said, she became Muslim, so now the marriage is invalid. Number two, there is an iddah. Why is there iddah, sisters? Because he was what? He was intimate with her. He is calling. He's throwing me off. He's calling that. I hear him now. So it now necessitates an iddah. Necessitates an iddah. Tayyib. That iddah, how many months does the woman have to wait, everyone, until she becomes married? She will have to wait how many? 3. Jayyid. Women are on point now. Jazakumullah khairan. These sisters are on point. 3 months. They've been on point. I'm trying to mop it up, right? At any rate, so he said 3 months. 3 months that she would have to wait in order for her to get married again. Now, let's just say, sisters now. Let's give it another example. Let's just say she's pregnant. Can she get married? She can she or can she not? Which one? She can't. Ahsant. She cannot get married. She cannot get married until she has what? The baby. Why? What's the reason? Because we know that the Prophet ﷺ said that what? It's not permissible for 2 sperms to mix. It's not permissible. And we know that that which was in the woman's womb was from another man's what? Another man's sperm. This is to let you know how filthy and nasty the kuffar are involved in. Nasty. Especially when women now being intimate with different multiple men all at once. To let us know how Allah has saved us from Jahiliyyah and the filthy things that we used to be involved in. And we also know that the nasty things, and they will find, if you go back and you study this, sisters, they say that the STDs initially come from sperms mixing. Sperms mixing. Why? This is just a side point. I want the sisters, they probably be blown away, but some of them probably know this, and some of them don't. Listen to this. This is to let you know how Islam is so beautiful. The reason of the hikmah, because probably women are wondering, why we got to wait 3 months? What's the reason? What's the point? Like, why women got to wait 3 months to get married again? That don't make no sense to me. Why? They discovered, and even the ulama of Islam, and even the kuffar now know. They say when a man is intimate with you, and he ejaculates, of course. He ejaculates, you inherit some of his genes. You have some of his genes within you. And those genes don't totally get removed till after 3 months. So now your body is totally ready for another man to what? To enter you properly, without it being mixed with another man's genes. So it can cause sicknesses and diseases. Is it clear? So now you know the hikmah to let you know and increase how Allah in this religion is perfect. And so to increase us in love so we can stay firm upon what we believe. Because like we said, they say that the STDs come from the what? The sperms and the genes mixing with other people. And in the midst of a woman, when she has her mints, she has it. It basically is cleansing her body and cleansing her womb and cleansing it and preparing it for something else. So for, of course, to clean out the genes for another man. So it won't mix with another one. And also likewise with the pregnancy, similar to that, to let us know how the religion respects even another man's what? Sperm. For if a woman was pregnant, she was pregnant from a sperm of another man. So it's not permissible by another sperm enter into that womb until that what? That womb is fully cleared. It's fully cleared and it's been what? Cleaned out from whatever man that was what? That was previously either had what? Either ejaculated, of course, or got her pregnant. It's beautiful, isn't it? Tayyib. So now let's get back to what we were discussing. So now, as far as the woman, she becomes Muslim. She becomes Muslim. So when she becomes Muslim, now we know that the marriage is annulled. The marriage is done. So now the iddah already starts. He doesn't even have to pronounce divorce. The iddah started. She will have to wait 3 months. 3 months, not 3 months. Months. A lot of people keep saying that. People still to this day say, I got to wait 3 months. No, 3 months. 3 months. Menstrual cycle. The only time a woman waits 3 months, meaning 1, 2, 3 months, is when she does not have a mens at all. Either because she's a little girl, or she's elderly, or she had a hysterectomy. She doesn't get a mens at all. At all. What I just said? I'll say it again. The only time that a woman waits 3 months, not months, months, M-O-N-T-H-S, months, is that the correctly spelled months? Type, months, is when she does not have a mens at all. At all. So no one's just trying to say, well, I get a mens once every 4 months, 5 months. You still got to wait. Is it clear what I'm saying? A woman might say, well, it's irregular. Still, you got to wait. Type, so I got to wait all this time? Yes. Type, well, can I take something that might regulate my mens? Yes, you can. So it can make the iddah period shorter. Maybe can I take some herbs or some medicine that regulates my mens so I can expedite the situation so it can get done? Yes, you can. But initially, you still have to utilize the what? The mens. The mens, whether it's normal or irregular. Doesn't matter. You still have to use that to count the iddah. Doesn't matter what's irregular or regulated. Doesn't matter. Does a woman have the alternative now to take some herbs or medicine to regulate it so she can expedite her situation, what have you? Yes, she can. It's clear what I'm saying so far? The only time now that she does not go by the mens is when she doesn't have one at all, due to the fact that she might be a young little girl that didn't get a mens yet, or an elderly woman who's reached the stage when she doesn't get a mens at all, what they call the menopause or what have you. Or was it menopause when women don't get a mens anymore? That's what they call it, menopause? What do they call it again? What's it called? Menopause. Okay, menopause or hysterectomy. Because we know once a woman gets a hysterectomy, she doesn't get a mens at what? She doesn't get a mens at all. Is that right? Fine. If this is the case, then a woman has to go by what, everyone? Does she go by the months or the months? The months. How much time we got left? I think we got, because 4:51 we pray. Oh man, I wanted to keep going. Yo, this hadith, man, we didn't get into the good part of it yet. The good part. Tayyib, I'm gonna end this off. And we continue next week, inshallah, because this hadith is a little bit mind-boggling, and I want all sisters to have a fresh mind with this narration here. Fresh mind. Because there's a lot of benefits extracted from these narrations. Hold on. Tayyib, last thing. Now I'm going to ask the sisters this question. We'll end it off here. Tayyib, let's just say now that they were both non-Muslims at the time. They didn't become Muslim yet. Just give an example. This is going to throw a curveball. Let's just say now they both were Christians at the time. He never was intimate with her, and he never was alone with her at all. Maybe he just got married. Like, they got married because in certain cultures this does happen. Certain cultures. They probably got married, or might have been arranged from a different country, but he never was alone with her or never was intimate with her at all. Like, she became Muslim. He's still upon his religion. Is there iddah now, sisters, or not? Huh. I sent. There's no iddah. Is it clear? Or is it not clear? There's no iddah. There's no waiting period. If she became Muslim tomorrow, she could get married the same day tomorrow. Due to the fact that the previous marriage, even though he was a Muslim, he never was intimate with her, nor was he what? Nowhere alone with her. No iddah. So that's from the benefits that's extracted from this narration. I'm going to keep it there and we'll stop. Because there's more that was going to throw everybody off on a loop that inshallah we'll keep it for next week. Inshallah. Yeah, that was just, we didn't finish. We didn't even get to the middle part. That's just the first part of the narration. Based upon one statement of the Prophet ﷺ, where he said that he returned Zainab back to his what? To her former husband. Why? All those benefits are extracted from that one narration. Because Zainab, at the time, what person would say, well, Zainab, how? She was a kafir at the time? Or she wasn't a non-Muslim at the time? Yes, she was. Because she was married to a man before the early part of the revelation. The early part, when the Prophet was sent as a prophet and messenger. She was married before. She was married before. When he was sent, I think it was before Al-Medina, or it was something to that effect. I'm going to go over the narration. But at any rate, Zainab was married. She was a Muslim at the time, and Noor was her husband. So she became, of course, Muslim with her father, the Prophet ﷺ. So she became Muslim. She went to Al-Medina. He stayed in Mecca. Stayed amongst the mushrikeen. He stayed upon his what? Upon the religion he was upon, of polytheism at the time. Notice that the Prophet ﷺ, as soon as she became Muslim, he stayed upon, the marriage automatically what? It's nullified. It was done. It was done. So everything we just mentioned all played in that one part. And then we'll stop here, inshallah. We'll stop here and we'll pick up the rest of the details next week. What was your question, Sheikh? I'm sorry. here she was alone. You'll find. If she was alone, there's a iddah. If she's alone with a man, there's a iddah. No. Once a woman becomes Muslim, she doesn't have to remain in his care, but she still has to carry out an iddah based upon the fact of cleansing her womb. But she doesn't stay under his care. She leaves. But this is just a mere iddah waiting period for what? Just for her to get married again. Not to stay in the marriage because it's been finalized. It's done. It's annulled. Is it clear what I'm saying? Any questions from the sisters? Any questions? Don't be afraid. Or send the question over, write it down, whatever. There isn't any questions? طيب. Stop here. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.